Welcome to the third episode of District Directions. Today our show will have a segment on teachers' awards and the upcoming bond elections from Miss Connie Blaney, a special report from Dr. Judy Barber discussing the block schedule and with the school personnel, and an opening doors on opening houses with Linda Kramer, our Norman Teacher of the Year.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Amanda Patterson.
And I'm Lawrence Bothwell. And today we have a rather important show dealing with the block schedule.
And rather tell us more about it, here's Dr. Judy Barber. Can you do that again?
Welcome to Focus on Learning. Next fall, as you already know, Norman Public Schools is about to make a large transition. 2 new high schools and 1 more middle school. And there are many, many decisions that have to be made when we make that transition. And during the district directions this year, you'll be hearing about a lot of them. On today's show, we have 2 guests, Dr. Tina Nations, who currently teaches at West, currently is a principal at West, and will be the principal at Norman High School next year. And Dan Quinn, who's currently the principal at Norman High School, and will be the new principal at Norman High North. One of the decisions that has to be made is what kind of schedule will be run. And our teachers and our community has been talking about, should it be a block schedule, should it be a traditional schedule, or there are a variety of other schedules that might, but those are the 2 that we've really looked at. And some years ago, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
We went to a block schedule at Norman High School after the faculty had studied it some time. Dan, without going back into a lot of the research that was done, would you talk about a little of that, and then really what does a block schedule look like?
Sure. The research was done by the faculty at Norman High School, and it was done 2 years prior to the implementation of the schedule. And it started out as a site goal to see how they could better serve students and provide better learning situations for them. And the particular outcome of that research was a change in schedules. Having to do with a longer block of time. There was a lot of research that stated that this would have a more positive effect on learning. And so after many visits, after many conversations on the telephone, and after a lot of reading, they presented, or they came up with, what they have termed as Norman High School's A-B block schedule. And it's kind of a mesh of several different schedules and several different ideas that were out there at the time. And our faculty has worked very diligently to implement it, made some changes as we've gone along to try to better it, and kind of come up with a pretty good product, we think.
Would you take a second, and I just want you to talk straight to the audience about, because when we say block schedule, we have a picture in our mind, and see if you can just kind of detail it out so that they might get an idea of it.
I'll try.
Okay.
It's tough to do without transparencies and other things.
I know.
The block schedule is basically Norman High Schools. We have 8 blocks. They're spread over 2 days, 4 blocks on day A, 4 blocks on day B. The blocks are 84 minutes in length. We have A1, A2. Then we have overtime, which is another particularly interesting facet of our particular block schedule. And then we have A3 and A4 after lunch. And then we have B5, B6, overtime, B7, B8. That's the second day. We never miss a day. The next day is always the next corresponding day. We don't go back and have 2 A days in a row or 2 B days in a row. And I think that this helps. This keeps the continuity going. It's traditional in the fact that the courses that used to be a semester long under a traditional schedule are still a semester long. The courses that were full-year courses are still full-year courses, so it's traditional in that way, but it's kind of ice-breaking as far as a new way to present education to students. The teachers have had to look at the way they teach, because teaching to 84-minute blocks versus teaching to 55-minute blocks of time requires more variety and different attitude, and really a re-looking at and a researching of the way you teach. And I think this has been one of the real benefits for the block schedule at Norman High School. It allows more students, it allows all students to take more classes, which is one of the requests that have been made by parents throughout the years, and also cuts down on some of the conflict possibilities, because now we have 8 options instead of 6, and there are just a lot of different facets that have been addressed with the implementation of the block schedule.
Okay, thank you. Nice job.
Thank you.
Tina, let's talk just a minute about that. We have at Norman High School the grades 11 and 12, and that set of teachers has had a chance to interact with the schedule for 2 years, or
Actually 4.
yeah, because they worked with it. And our 9-10 teachers have been on a traditional schedule. So what kinds of discussions have been held, or have they, to help our 9-10 teachers understand the block schedule?
Before they went to the block schedule, Norman High teachers came over and shared about what it is with us, and that was 2 years ago. But so last year, after Norman High had been on the block schedule for a year, we went ahead and talked about it and considered that if we would like to know how 9th and 10th graders respond to a block schedule. And so last January at Central and at West, we did pros and cons of a block schedule. We brainstormed pros and cons in thinking about whether or not we wanted to go the next year. Mm-hmm. And as we got to further down the line after that, we decided that probably this year would be such a transition year that going to a new schedule in that same year would probably be too much change for everyone. So common sense prevailed, and we decided to wait. And some teachers, even when we talked about it, needed more information also, because they were new to the system. And so in the spring, a committee came over of teachers and Dean Quinn from the high school. But before that, really, a whole committee was formed to study both schedules. And then we started that last year, and then we got a plan and used the CBAM model for that plan. And they came over and talked again and made a presentation about it, and teachers were able to ask questions. And that's where we've gotten recently.
I want to come back and talk some more about the kinds of steps that are being taken to include people in the discussion before the teachers vote, because they are going to vote on the 20th of September. But we have 4 teachers that are going to talk to our audience directly that have been involved in the block schedule and their impressions of it. So let's listen to them first.
Okay.
My name is Dave Drennan. I teach mathematics at Norman High School. I have taught at Norman High School for some 20 years. 3 years ago, we decided to try the block schedule. Rita Jarvis and I were co-chair of a committee that did the research and helped install the block schedule. In my classes, I teach 2 special classes for accelerated students called Aegis Mathematics, and I also teach the advanced mathematics classes. For my classes, I find that, especially the Aegis classes, the additional courses that students are allowed to take is a great benefit. In all my classes, I find that the 85 minutes, or 84 minutes rather, gives me a chance to more fully develop a single thought. I find that in a block schedule, I find much less frequently that I am interrupted at a time when I don't want to be by the ending bell. On the downside, I have always, because I pay so much attention to concepts, I have always been slow comparison to some other teachers that might get more of the topics covered. I find that in the block schedule that is in fact it is even more difficult to get all the material covered. From a teacher's perspective, I find that the block schedules is easier to prepare for. I have an extra day to prepare lectures. I have an extra day to grade papers. and it is a much more convenient schedule for a teacher.
My name is Rita Jarvis, and I teach social studies at Norman High School. One of the features of our block schedule that I really appreciate is the overtime feature. That's a 30-minute time from 11 to 11:30 when all teachers are in their classrooms available to help students. That feature has meant so much to my curriculum and my work with students, because it gives us a time scheduled into the day when I can meet with students to work with them one-on-one. Students come in voluntarily, and sometimes I request or insist that the student attend. What I found is that there was one problem we never anticipated, and that is that so many students chose voluntarily to come in that sometimes I had more people in my room than I had anticipated. I think that's perhaps one of those good problems that you have to work on, but you're glad to see the interest of the students. I think it also illustrates that students felt a real need to have that time in the day. Overtime enables me to work with students who are having trouble, but it also helps me to have a relationship with all of my students that perhaps is more personal, really understanding their problems, their issues. I think also a major benefit of overtime is the ability to do makeup work with students when they are absent. You know, in the past, a lot of times you were rushing so fast to hand out that makeup work because you had a class waiting that the student frequently didn't get the explanation that they needed. I truly feel that now I'm able to really explain what they missed and that the students benefit from this. In general, this schedule has helped me individualize my program, not only because of overtime, but also the longer class periods, which enable me to get around to all the students. I think that ability to have a closer relationship and to do one-on-one instruction is perhaps my favorite part of the schedule.
Tracy Four. I teach mathematics at Norman High School. Specifically, I teach Algebra 2, Advanced Algebra, and an ACT review course. The block schedule particularly helps in an ACT review course because I'm allowed to expand what I talk about each day and be creative in what I teach. For example, we may want to take the ACT test during a given block, and that's a 60-minute test, but it also allows me to grade it and go over problems with the students. That would not have been available under a traditional schedule. In my other courses, one of my major concerns with the block schedule was covering the necessary curriculum during the shortened time throughout the semester. But what I found the block schedule has forced me to do was to take a new look at my curriculum, to cut out some of the problems or some of the material that really was filler, in my opinion, and to reevaluate my teaching styles. What I do on a given day, for example, is to combine two lessons, and those lessons are related in such a way that I'm able to teach a skill initially and then show some application of that skill later in the given block. This way the students see not only a skill in isolation, but they see the application of that skill and can tie those two concepts together. Under a traditional schedule, this would not have been available because of the shortened time. An added feature of the block schedule, which to me increases my teaching abilities, is the overtime also. Overtime allows me to give students makeup work, but at the same time, it allows me to take an individual student, go over problems that they may have struggled with on a given day, and then teach them new material at the same time that they're able to to use in the next day's class material. This way, if they missed one day, they no longer have to worry about getting caught up during the class that I'm teaching their fellow students. They can come in, relearn what they missed, and then take it from there. And I think the students appreciate that ability to see me one-on-one, get caught up, and it gives them a little comfort in knowing that the teacher does care about them.
Hi, my name is Dana Hemphill and I teach English in Norman High. I also work with the speech and theater department, especially with the competition area. One of the things I'd like to talk about with the block schedule is how it affects my English classes. It allows me to try things that I haven't had time to try before. And one of the benefits of that is that we can take the ideas that we have discussed, make the connections that we need to make with other ideas, and apply those to the skills we have also been discussing. It lets us take those critical thinking skills that we teach, and help the students find ways to connect those to everyday life. I'd also like, though, to talk about the extracurricular programs and how they are affected by the block schedule. One of the benefits of the schedule is that students have the opportunity to take more than they would otherwise. So extracurricular activities doesn't have to select one over another, and a student also does not have to sacrifice his or her preparation for college in order to be involved in extracurricular activities. That's a bonus for it's a bonus for the students, and it's a bonus for the extracurricular activities because we have more students getting to take part. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about the block schedule.
Well, Dan, it sounds like in listening to those four teachers that they most certainly are sold on the block schedule, that they think that serves students better than a traditional schedule and works very well for their work style. When you think about it, could you just sum up what you feel like is the very best thing that's happened?
Well, I think that there's been, of course, now my first year as principal was the first year under the block schedule,
right.
So I don't know for sure how I can reference what happened before, but
except you were at the high school before.
I have been at the high school for several years.
Yeah.
But the morale of faculty, the morale of students seems to be very positive. The attitude of students towards the schedule has been accepted very readily by the students and the faculty. I would want to say that there is not an ideal schedule.
Right.
Everything we do in education, we try, and they have problems with it, but we're working and trying to achieve what we can and the best we can. So there are problems with any type of schedule. It's a delivery system. But the fact is that this meets a lot of the goals that were set out by the faculty and in response to needs of parents and needs of students over the years. And I think because of that, and because of the input and the interest that the faculty has had in it, it's worked, and it's worked very well from everything that we've seen.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of the things that I wanted to discuss a little further with Tina, is that really a schedule is a schedule is a schedule. And it's the teacher who makes a difference. And the Norman High teachers chose the block schedule after much research. As we were talking earlier in the show, the 9-10 teachers have been on a traditional schedule, so it's extremely important to give them a lot of information and let them see firsthand so that they can help make a decision about the schedule under which they'll work. So you had talked earlier about the kinds of things that we had done a year ago or more, but there are other things we've done. Talk some more about that.
Well, and the things I talked about really what we did with teachers as a whole, but Dr. Jones is the principal at Central and of the other 9-10 school, and she and I both are format trainers, and format is really a model or a structure for delivering lessons, and it gets to every learning style during the lesson. And what happens with we were able to do training with our teachers on format, and just at the end of the year, all but about 6 teachers at West and about the same at Central had been trained in the format training, and 85 minutes is almost perfect for delivery of a format wheel, which includes all learning styles. And so they've had training on how to deliver lessons in an 85-minute period. But they've also, we had an in-service, I mean, early in August, all the teachers got together with Norman High School, all the departments, and they had a lot of time to visit and ask specific questions then, too.
I was really pleased that you all had planned that time for all of the 9 through 12 teachers to get together in departments, because besides letting them have more information about the schedule, it does put them together as a department and a group so that they can just spend time together to get to know each other even better and a head start on working together.
And I think that there are several benefits that came out of that. One is teachers talking to teachers. It wasn't administrators talking to teachers, and that was one of those positive things. So they were able to really have some discussion about the block schedule, how they really implemented it, and what they did. Also, talking about going to 2 high schools, a lot of these folks are going to be working together, and this gave them a chance for some discourse and some preparation and getting kind of a sense of trust with each other. So I think there were a lot of positives that came out of this, and that in-service came out of the growth of a committee that had been formed at the district level.
Yes, let's talk about a little bit about that committee, its function and its membership.
Well, it's the membership, and Tina's helped me out here, but we have 2 assistant superintendents, the 3 current upper secondary principals. We have 4 teachers from the high school, 2 from West and 2 from Central. We have 3 students and 3 parents on the committee. And the committee has been set up to try to understand also everybody on that committee, because we have 2 of the students are 9th grade students, and also parents that have not been familiar with the block schedule, and teachers who have some familiarity maybe from the mid-highs, but to kind of get some education about the block schedule, to look at what has gone on and the background of it, to help set up some plan for this vote so that we could get to this vote, and so a decision could be made about both school schedules. And a lot of research and a lot of planning. And the in-service on August 15th that Tina referred to was an outgrowth of that committee.
So 2 things about our district I wanted to underline while you were talking about that, and one is collaboration. While it's impossible to have everybody together that needs to be together every time, all of the time, the Norman District really, that's part of our Decisions for Excellence, which is our organizational plan, to have people together to collaborate. So we had top administration, teachers, students, and parents on that committee, as we do on many of the others. And then, Tina, you said earlier as you were talking that we used the CBAM model, which is a change model that our district uses continually, which just looks at the concerns of people as they go through changes. And I think that's one of the things that serves us well, or 2 of the things that serve us well in our district.
I interrupted you. Well, that's actually how the was the structure for what the committee went on. Is that at the end of the year, we gave teachers an open-ended question that said, when I think about block schedule, and then they responded to that, and then the committee took all of those responses and grouped them into areas, areas, and areas that were concerns that we needed to address, or areas that were also strengths. And we used those responses as the direction our committee should take. And not only did we do that, got together in August, but at that time they also arranged to make visits. And so our teachers, our 9, 10 teachers, have been visiting the high school this week and next. And also our teachers went to Ardmore. The 9, 10 teachers went to Ardmore, and the high school already visited Ardmore.
Okay. Did you start to say something?
Well, a big concern has been how this will affect 9th and 10th graders, and that was one of the positive things. We don't have that experience here, but Ardmore has had that experience, and as she referred, several teachers from West and Central went down to observe, because they're the ones that have been working with those freshmen and sophomores and were really concerned about it. And I think they came back with some very positive feelings about that.
And
our students went too.
And did they? And block schedules certainly aren't unique to Norman. And when Norman High was doing their research across the United States, that many schools have gone to a block schedule. And
there's a lot of research to show that, and the NASSP has come out with that's the National Association of Secondary School Principals, has come out with some research and a suggestion, something called Breaking Ranks is the name of their publication. And one of the major foci of that has been longer blocks of time, block scheduling, and all different types of that. This is just one type of a block schedule. Right.
Okay, well, let's just run through the procedure because this decision from the teacher's point of view and their position will be stated on September the 20th when they vote.
I'd like to add one more thing, or
Okay.
two more things, really. We haven't left off the parents and the kids. We both at Central and at West had open houses, and
Right, thank you.
Norman High came and made presentations to parents, and they asked many questions. And today and tomorrow, Dan
Which
and some
is
students.
the September, today is
12th and
the
13th.
13th. There's going to be two assemblies at Central and two assemblies at West, and that Dan and some teachers and some students are coming over with a panel to present to our students. So we've included parents and students as a group also.
Okay, that's great.
The teachers are going to vote on September 20th. The committee will then convene, get the results of that vote. Then they will make their recommendation to the upper level administration, who will then bring in whatever variables that they need to look at, and then they'll make a decision, hopefully by the October board meeting.
Okay, so that could go to the October board meeting. Well, to our audience, I'd like to say that this is one of the decisions that needs to be made during the transition time. There will be many, and on the show, District Directions, you can keep up with those decisions because we'll be reviewing them with you. But also, I want to note that we do have a school year currently going on, and it's equally as important as next year. And one of the things that's going to happen is the closure of some schools. And that would be, one will be Central Mid-High and one will be West Mid-High. And it makes me a little teary just to say it. And so, Tina, one of the things I'd like to do on the show sometime this year is to come back and talk about the activities that we're doing to help with the closure of two very important institutions.
I'd like that too.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see what that position is on scheduling after October, huh?
Thank you, Dr. Barber.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us on Focus on Learning.
Man, I really hope they keep the block schedule because I'd be even thinking more without it than I am now.
Well, that's because you never do your homework, Lawrence. And it's a good thing the school doesn't have open houses, or your teachers would be giving your parents an earful.
Well, that's not the point. I mean, I try to do my homework, I just don't have enough time. But on the subject of open houses, here's Linda Kramer with her report on opening doors with opening houses.
The first opportunity most teachers and parents at the elementary level have to meet each other comes on back-to-school night right before school starts. But on the secondary level, schools have an open house, generally within the first month or two of school starting. The disadvantage to having open house so early in the year is that some of us teachers are still having trouble putting faces with names, and we're not really sure to whom we're talking. But the advantage is that we're able to assure almost everyone that their child is doing well at this point in the year. Both mid-highs had their open houses last Tuesday on September 10th. I was at Central's open house, which we call the Old School Fair. After a short PTA meeting, NHS Principal Dan Quinn and several high school teachers explained to us the block schedule and answered our questions. At this time, the schedule for the two new 9-12 high schools have not been decided. Central's band and jazz choir entertained the crowd before parents ventured into classrooms to meet with the teachers. Central's organizations for students and booster clubs for parents used this opportunity to sell t-shirts, yearbooks, sign up new members, and to collect dues. We also used this opportunity to send out a call to the community. In honor of our last year, students are doing some research into the history of Central. History students are looking for Central alums, ex-teachers, or neighbors to interview. The results will be a history of Central in taped interviews, written reports, and photographs. If you have memories of Central that you would like to share as a student, as an ex-teacher, or just as a community member, please come by the school or call 366-5936, and we'll get your story on tape for our archives. I'm Linda Kramer, and I'll see you next time on Opening Doors.
Oh. Amanda, you went to Central, didn't you?
Yeah, and I have a lot of fond memories of Central, too, and I hope I can do my part to preserve them.
That's nice. Now with us, we have a report from Ms. Connie Blaney on the upcoming bond election and some recognition for teachers and their awards.
Good evening. Patrons will go to the polls on Tuesday, October 8th to decide on a school bond issue for the improvement of school sites, construction projects, and purchase of technology equipment. The bond issue will not increase property taxes because we are paying off bonds. The Norman Board of Education authorized the school bond issue at the July 15th school board meeting. Voters will decide on a $5,530,000 building and equipment bond and a $150,000 transportation bond. The $5,530,000 building and equipment bonds will be used to acquire school fixtures, furniture, instructional technology equipment, computers, band and orchestra instruments, science and other educational equipment. Proposed construction includes the continued completion of the science building at Norman High School and continued conversion of Longfellow Middle School to Norman High School North. These bonds will also be used to construct a new student food serving area at Central Mid High School and renovation of the Norman High School tennis courts, improvements in the softball field at Irving Middle School, and an addition of playground equipment at Lincoln Elementary. The $150,000 in transportation bonds will provide funds for the purchase of an additional school bus and also for transportation vans. Linda Kramer, Norman's District Teacher of the Year, will be honored at the Oklahoma Teacher of the Year ceremony at the State Fair in Oklahoma City next week on September 24th. Linda is one of the 12 finalists named and is eligible to be named Oklahoma Teacher of the Year. A person that is named will represent the state in the National Teacher of the Year competition. We wish Mrs. Kramer good luck in this event. Norman Public Schools Foundation grant proposals are due Wednesday, October 22nd, Ann Nunnell, Foundation member, has stated. The applications will be sent to all the school sites this week. Grants should be sent to the Foundation office at 131 South Flood. Announcement of recipients for the fall grant round will take place during faculty meetings in late November. This is the Foundation's 13th year serving the public school children of Norman. This past spring, the Foundation exceeded its fund drive campaign goal, raising $74,351. Neil Schimmer, member and Foundation treasurer, has stated. Monday, September 16th is the day for this month's regular school board meeting. I will have a report on what happened at this meeting next week. Congratulations to Ann Masters, Director of Technology for the district. She was recognized as Oklahoma's Outstanding Director of Technology. This is quite an honor, and we're very proud of her. Norman Central Services is very proud of this year's Employee of the Year, Carl Sonny Lambert, who has been a faithful bus mechanic for over 10 years with the district. Sonny was recognized for his dedicated service to Norman Public Schools and was presented the 1995-96 Employee of the Year Award at an August in-service workshop. Special recognition also goes to 3 employees in the Heating and Air Conditioning Department who received the Department of the Year Award for 1995-96. They are Bill Niemeyer, Tom Littlejohn, and Leon Caskey. All of our departments are outstanding, but these employees have done an extremely good job this year. We commend them for their efforts in doing what needs to be done in a professional manner, Irvin Rowley, Director of Central Services, said. Congratulations to all of them. For Norman Public Schools, I'm Connie Blaney.
Well, that's it for this episode of District Directions. For Lawrence Bothwell, I'm Amanda Patterson. Have a good night.